So this is a podcast interview with one of my team members who used to sell for me, and then when he went off and started his own business, did like $50,000 or $60,000 his very first month, just kind of taking what he learned working in my business and applying it to his own sort of career. And it's just a really neat interview. We talk a lot about our faith and our journey through starting a business and being married and young and living in sort of Western culture and how to balance all these forces. We talk a lot about like the responsibilities that come with money, as well as just some insights into like what we see is happening in the industry and where we see it going and everything. So should be a fun interview for those of you who are just trying to learn from maybe a little bit about how I run my company, the sort of culture that the team and I tend to have, as well as just what it looks like to be, a faith-driven individual in the 21st century, being very public online about, the money I'm making and all these things. And it's just an interesting interview, a lot of interesting subjects that we covered, and should be a good use of your time. So enjoy.
All right. What's up, Brandon?
What is up? Here we are.
Here we are. First podcast guest. Probably just the guy with the most free time I could schedule you the soonest.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So Brandon is a former team member, went out, launched his own business. What'd you do the first month you launched, man?
50,000 first month.
That's awesome, dude. That's killer. So total machine, man. And what I relate to with Brandon and why I wanted him on the podcast in particular, we could talk business, we could talk whatever. Is really just masculinity, faith, marriage, and business, the relationship between money and our walk with God, and just some topics that I feel like Brandon, I could honestly just let you talk for like 2 hours and it would just be a total banger. But I feel like when he was working for me, like just his presence kind of even challenged like some of my perceptions, and I don't know, it's just a very healthy thing in my life, and it was a lot of fun like learning his perspectives, and I think it was a very mutually beneficial relationship. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. So we kind of texted a list here of things we're going to talk about. So it was like masculinity. He has a kid, or having a kid, with his wife.
Baby boy.
Way. That's amazing. Talking about that and balancing business ownership, Christianity and the e-learning industry, particularly, sales and persuasion, picking your circle. I saw one of your short form reels. You talked about how you started putting up content and some of your friends at dinner were like kind of ragging on it. And like, I could go on that for forever, man. And then evolving out of old friend groups, and then we'll kind of go wherever else. So
sweet.
Where do you want to start on that list, bro?
Dude, I think the first point is what, like the kick I've been on recently, masculinity. Yeah.
Yeah, man, let's talk
I was texting you about it the other day. And I even posted a piece of content on that angle, just testing it.
Oh, it does
and
so
it's
well.
my most liked video. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. No, it got like 40,000 views, 6,000 likes. Like, I literally just said like men are weak, and like we live in a culture where men are supposed to be weak, 'cause it's like they're easier to control, and that's all I said. And I just filmed like 60 new short form, and like I spent like 4 hours just boom, 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 and like a quarter of them were on that subject, because it just like it's doing so well right now. You got like Tate, you got like guys in this space like Iman, people talking about it more openly, and I love it, dude. I personally totally love it. So yeah, man, like where do we start with that?
Dude, after I think I texted you, maybe we texted about it, I got on Facebook and I saw a couple of your posts on that topic, just about Tate and like Kanye, and I love it. I love seeing it.
We can go right into it, dude.
Yeah,
yeah.
Bro,
I mean,
like, what do we think about Tate?
I like Tate. I don't like that he doesn't like marriage. I don't like that.
Same.
I think that's where I draw the line, because here's the thing, man. I actually am privately mentoring this guy. He does about $1 million a year profit. And he's like, Trey, I just admire like how you're doing marriage and like this at the same time. I have no idea how you do it, honestly. It's like, I'm dating a girl. I'm in love with this girl. I know I want to marry her, but I have no idea like where to start with that spiritually. How do I balance it? Like, I just want to peek behind the curtain of your life and everything. And I was telling him, man, without scripture, marriage doesn't make sense, honestly. So like, if I weren't a Christian, I'd probably be some version of like a dating around, like philanthropic, like playboy. Like I get why young guys get there. Like it makes a ton of sense. But then if you enter in Christ, like, no, dude, you realize Like that is living in the world,
Mhm.
you know, and the world has nothing to offer. And women are actually like of the world in a sense,
Yeah.
you know. So that's only where I don't agree. But outside of that, like, dude, I like him. I really do like him. I like his message for men. I think he's a brilliant marketer. I think he's talented at persuasion. He knows how to cause controversy, and I don't know, he's a smart guy. I like him. I get why women don't like him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
That's
real.
where I'm at on him. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
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 So
And I
what about
think
you?
like, yeah, with Tate and masculinity, what I'm realizing is true masculinity is rooted in Christ.
Yeah, it is. Christ was the
So,
ultimate man.
yeah.
He was the ultimate
Exactly.
man. People don't
Yeah.
understand this.
Mhm.
Like we glorify sacrifice and we glorify, you know, giving your life up for the like even the red pill stuff. It's like have a mission based. Like Christ was mission based. He didn't
Yeah.
even get married, dude. He didn't play around with women the whole time. Like he was here to die for our sins. That's why he came, and he died and rose
Yep.
again. Like that is he's the ultimate pinnacle. Yeah, people just graze over that, you know. And then that's the thing that I probably don't appreciate as well. It's just like about the whole movement. I think it's very ego driven. I think masculinity and like arrogance and ego are like starting to share a bed, and that's very dangerous. Like power
Yeah.
for the sake of power. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I like what you said about mission. Like a true man should have a mission.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, even just like the correlation like with Christ is people view him as like, I hope it's okay to say on the podcast, as like a pansy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
long hair, nice.
Oh,
to
they view him as a
everything.
hippie. They view him as a
Yeah,
hippie.
it's like,
Yeah.
bro, like he's a
Yeah.
man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And
Be
I like
able to-
one of the
yeah.
things that Tate said, man, about sorry to interrupt you, bro, but I
No,
just
you're
this
good.
is such a good topic, man. One of the things he said about Christianity is like the reason he's going to what's it is it like is Islam now or something? Is he's like, you know, Christians are like hypocritical, and not only this, but like that you can also just kind of walk on them like I believe God is a strong God and like he doesn't take, you know, just being talked about like that. And I'm like, that's a good point. That's
Yeah.
a good point. And I think but then again, one of the tenets of the gospel is forgiveness. Turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
Let their actions, let the fruit of their lifestyle show them one day what's wrong with them. Like they'll catch up later. It's kind of the tenet of Christianity. Like you can say whatever you want. We're going to let the fruit speak for itself, and it's a long game we're playing. You know what I mean? Like I see guys in this space that have a certain lifestyle, and it's very easy to get envious of it. Even in my heart, it's easy to get envious. Then I'm like, how am I supposed to raise kids if I do that? How am I supposed to like love my wife if I do that? Like, it doesn't. They don't blend. And then people think that like you can unlearn those habits. I challenge a lot of guys. I don't think you can unlearn a lot of that stuff. I think once you go down that path, like it's gonna be really hard to be loyal to one woman. Really hard to like be there for your kids in a real way. So I don't know, man. That's where I think on that. But yeah, bro, Christ is the
Yeah,
ultimate.
dude. And not to make it all about religion, but it's
No,
I think
if
like,
they
we
don't
could
wanna
share
listen,
this-
they tune out.
we share we share the same faith. So
Yeah.
it's like, dude, what Andrew Tate said is so true though. He switched to Islam, yes, because of some of those things, but he said it's the only real religion left on the earth.
Mhm.
Which means it's the only religion where its followers are sold out to the teaching.
Yep.
And if you look at
Exactly.
it, he's got a pretty good point, dude, because everyone and their mom is a Christian, but to be a Christian, it means to follow Christ.
Yes.
It's like,
Well, to be a
especially,
Christian just means
yeah.
you get a cross tattoo and go to church on Sundays and maybe open your Bible every now and again. And that's all it
Don't
means.
forget about the verse in your Instagram bio.
Yeah, if you put some verse from Romans in your Instagram bio, you're a Christian. Yeah,
And it's
dude.
like-
Oh man, bro.
Yeah, and it's like kind of the angle that I took on coaching has me second guessing all of it too,
Mhm.
because it's like I see a lot of people using that angle to sell more coaching too now.
Mhm.
I'm like, dang, that
Mhm.
feels gross, and I don't want to fit in that category. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. No, I completely
Yeah.
understand that. I'm pretty unapologetic about my faith, but also like I mean, we've got a Muslim in our highest tier offer, and like we're like
Yeah.
bros. Like it's like to me, man, it's an interesting dynamic where for me, faith is such a corner and a pillar stone, cornerstone or pillar of like my life. And I want the long-term effects of the decisions that I'm making to speak for themselves. Yeah. Like, I see it coming, dude. I so see it coming that I'll be in my mid 40s, maybe my 50s. And some of these men in the space will call me asking, you know, like, how are you doing this? And it's like, well, let's look at what we were doing in our 20s, you know? And not that not even that it's like a mountain for me to climb or something that I really like. It's not even an achievement at that point. It's just I want to live an example of a lifestyle, you know, like when I put out my story and I'm just like, one God, one woman, one business, you know, people love that. They're like, whoa, like, and then what's interesting too is like Lily very recently went out and got my wife. For those listening who don't know, my wife's name's Lily. Like, she's been making friends with a lot more women recently who are in troublesome relationships with their husband or boyfriend or whatever. And we're realizing it's like because we're like living a great example. Like, these women are like desperate. They're like, how do I find a guy who's like driven, doing it, but like really loyal to me? And it just doesn't exist right now, unfortunately. And so it's tough, dude. It's really tough.
It's crazy. I was going to ask you a question. Like, on the topic of masculinity and marriage, like, how do you feel like that's changed since you've gotten married?
You just have to accept that you're not going to get everything you want out of life. Not everything your flesh wants. Like, some men listen to their flesh and think it's truth. You know what I mean? Like, they can't discern between the desires of the flesh and desires of the spirit. You know what I mean? And so they think that sexual desire must be base desire. And like, then out of that comes this hedonistic humanized worldview of like, oh, sex is everything. Sex it integrates into everything. And like, in some senses, yes. But in a higher sense, you know, I love C.S. Lewis's quote that like, we are fundamentally spiritual beings living out a physical experience, not vice versa on Sundays, you know? And so to me, it's like through marriage and through self-sacrifice, because it is sacrificial. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm sure you experience that. Like, every man who gets married experiences it. It's like, you're going to have doubts. You're going to have moments where you're like, did I make the right decision? You're like, but like, you solve it all by loving them. And then you remember why you married them. You know what I mean? Every time. And you solve it by like pursuing them. And women embody this part of God that wants to be pursued. You know, they embody the feminine of God that like wants pursuit and wants that like sense of like being chased. And so if you can give that to your wife, then like, I don't know, it's very self-sacrificial, because like I've been under a lot of pressure recently, like a lot of changes in the business, like rebuilt the team, as you know, and yeah, man, like to still in the evenings give that to my wife. It's a test every single day, but like I like it. I like the test. I don't know. I don't know if you resonate with that. That's my thoughts. I feel like it's made me a better man in every single way. Yeah, 100%. Because you have like two options. Like, you can go through all the day of the business and give nothing at the end of the day, like give your worst to Lily, or which is the comfortable thing to do. Like, that's probably what most of Lily's new friends are doing. Like, their husbands, they're just coming home. Dude, I see some of these husbands, and I'm just like, bro, I'm like, what is wrong with these? Like, I'm not like, I feel bad, man. I went to one of the bridal showers of one of these girls that one of Lily's friends is engaged to. The groom-to-be was asleep on the couch at the bridal shower. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Yeah. It just makes no sense. That makes no sense to me. I don't understand, A, why a woman would want to marry that, and B, why a man would be comfortable marrying a woman who he's not like excited to be at the bridal shower for. Dude, it's so weird. I almost see like three categories of men. There's like the Andrew Tate, which is like screw marriage, screw sticking to one girl, which obviously, you know, like that's not works for like 3 years. And then like the mass majority of people are guys that are willing to get married, but they have no mission. So they're just like sitting on the couch asleep. But and that's where marriage gets painted. That's what marriage gets painted as. If you get married, you are that second guy right there. You settled because she was the only one willing to have sex with you, so you got married, right? Yeah, dude. Like, and
Dude.
I was telling this guy I'm mentoring, this guy's doing like $1 million profit, like incredible. And I'm not going to name drop him because like I like, these are very intimate things for me. I don't want to reveal their name because I don't want to send attention their way. But he was telling me that he was like, that I feel like that's the perception. I'm like, people will see that. Like when I got married, I received a lot of judgment from the market. People were like, "You're settling." I'm like, "You don't understand.
You're too young.
You're too young. You're settling. You don't get it, man. You don't get. You don't understand it. You have to." I told him you have to love the idea of being a married man as much as you love your spouse.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's a new concept to some men.
And like something you're representing well is, so I was drawing a correlation between the guy sitting on the couch. That's marriage now. You get married, that's what you're going to turn into. So you're forfeiting your dreams of like financial success, like Andrew Tate. But there's another version. There's like where there's two, where you have a mission, you can make money, but you can also be a dad and a husband. That's masculinity.
That takes dying to self. That's what people don't understand. You have to make money for the right reasons now.
Yep.
That was probably one of the biggest things. My business like kind of grinded to this weird halt where like the motivation of being the man and driving the cool car and having the nice watch and everything. I had to like being engaged, purged it from my system because I'm like, this is not going to integrate with the life that I'm building here. Yeah. It's just not. Yeah. Because like I could still do that. I very well could. But unfortunately, like if I tap too deeply into that conqueror that is within every man, it's like then women become something to conquer too. And I have to be very careful with that energy. I have to channel it in the right direction. Yeah. Dude, like, and so I had to rewire that, you know what I mean? And I think you had a different experience where I think you guys have been married a minute. My business, I mean, you worked for me. Like you saw, like it was up, and I got engaged and things were just like, it was just like, because there was this block in my head of like, why am I doing this? Because honestly, honest to God, I had so much to prove at the start, and that was why I was doing it, you know, and I proved it, but it filled nothing for me. Yeah. And then being engaged, I'm like, I got to find a better reason. And that's like dying to self. When I say dying to self and people have asked me what that means, it's like, you got to like let go of all your reasons for doing things. Yeah.
Dude, that's so good.
What about you, dude? How is that? How has it been making the money you're making now, being married? I'm curious what your wife thinks, like your income shot. Like, I'm just super curious about it all, dude.
Yeah, I mean, transparently, like on the podcast, bro, I feel like I was making more money on the team. Like for real, like people like on the outside looking in, like, oh, you did 79K. Like that's what we did last month. And it's like, bro, like you don't take into account like the team members, the program I invested in, like taxes, ads. It's like, bro, you're taking on a lot more money to manage, but you're also taking on a ton more responsibility. Yeah. Whereas like with you, like I could sell and coach and like just go to sleep. But obviously, yeah, it's cool. And it what you said just resonated so deep with me because it's like naturally I thought, oh, I need to do 100K a month, but it's like, why? Why? Like, what does that even mean? What do those numbers represent to me? So I'm in like a soul searching season right now of discovering my why. And it's like the word you said a minute ago, conquer. Like, I want to help people conquer. I don't know why that masculinity word, like I've been texting you back and forth about it, but that word to me is like such a huge need right now. And I didn't even realize that. I verbally processed it with you, like the two versions of men. It's like you're either Tate or you're eating potato chips on a couch. So it's like, bro. Yeah, I don't know. I'm discovering my why, and also around making money. Like, why set X number of goal? Is it like an ego thing? Is it just because it's the right thing to do? Or, you know what I mean? But obviously, that's part of marriage too, is like dying to myself. Because if I wasn't married, my goals would probably look a lot different. But now, like, especially walking into being a dad, it's, you know how when you got engaged, you kind of felt the pressure of like, oh, wow, like I'm about to be a husband. Yeah. I feel that right now with like being a dad. And Sometimes I forget Sarah's even pregnant. You know what I mean? Like she's thinking about it 24/7. But for me, like I'll be like, oh crap, like I'm gonna be a dad in 4 months.
Yeah.
So,
so crazy, dude.
so it has not hit me yet. So yeah, I'm like in this soul searching phase of like, why am I doing certain things? But yeah.
What would you like your why to be?
Dude, I want to see people tap into everything that is available to them.
What do you mean?
In the form of, let me say it this way. Like, I think of all the people listening to the podcast or any of, the content that either of us have ever put out. Most people don't even believe in themselves. You know what I mean? Or they don't know the right path. So it's like if you're on social media, the only like ads you're seeing is like Andrew Tate, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, hustle, 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 like build, build, build. And they're like, dude, I don't even know why I'm on this planet. You know what I mean? So it's like presenting that hope, like helping people, come to encounter the Lord first. And then 2, encountering the Lord isn't enough. It's like walking in their purpose, discovering what that is, and then having someone encourage them into it. So,
do you care if that person's you, or do you just want that for people?
I think I used to care if it was me. Now I just want it for people. And I realize like it's a much bigger mission than just one person could do on their own.
Do you think it's going to happen within the industry you're in right now?
That's a question I've been asking. I think the industry I'm in definitely needs it, but I feel like there's an opportunity for like a mass market type solution. Yeah. And that's kind of where I was answering back to like the income thing is like, I view this industry as like a vehicle for more of like a mass market solution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For conversations like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, because I think the core conversations don't get had because people don't see the value in them. Almost, they don't see the merit in like talking about, like they'd rather watch content regarding like the next technique on how to get more views on, your socials or whatever, or the next ad strategy. And this applies generally, like, there's nothing, I think people say we're in unprecedented times, and in some cases, yeah, but like, nah, it's just human nature to look for shortcuts, dude. You know what I mean? Like, we've always been this way. Like, there's always been charlatans and people with like low quality answers to big challenging problems and selling you something that doesn't exist and whatever. And I don't think, like, if you look at like there's just been this effect in general across the world where I think post social media, just quality of stuff has gone down. You know what I mean? Like, just generally, because we have A, less of an attention span, B, we're all dopamined up, and then C, like, it doesn't promote actual conversations. Like, we're filling our head with like pre-built, pre-packaged short form, just swipe, 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 and then it's like a little bit of music and some text that kind of like speaks to you based on what the algorithm thinks, and it's like you're staring into the void, and it's a void built off of the echoes of the worst parts of humans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're just staring at it all day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, then people build a form, because they do that for years on end, then they build a form of debt that of not achieving what they want in life and not knowing why they're here, that they then try to pay off with short-term solutions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's cyclical.
Yeah. Dude, and short-term solutions never work.
They don't, dude.
Yeah.
They don't. They're so easy to sell, though. That's the problem. Is it's like, I know we could make more money as a company if I said, here's my, like, my Instagram system, my 3-step, but like, I don't know, dude. I try to walk that line between being like, look, I've devoted my life to like figuring out what the core is. Like, I made a reel about this. It's like, don't just buy somebody's surface level offer, like solution. Like, go buy the thing, but then like try and observe the philosophy of the person who's teaching it, so that you can then come up with strategies equally as effective. Because like it was probably their worldview or philosophy or the way they make decisions that led them to that strategy. And so it's more like learning from their thinking patterns that then leads to better decisions for yourself.
Yeah, dude. And something, sorry to interrupt, something I've noticed about you is that you never settle for like the surface level solution. You always go to the root of why the solution worked. And that's where people fail. They buy the program for the marketing strategy, but they miss the reason the marketing worked was because of how you thought.
Yeah. Like, I'm too humble about this, dude, but like literally every traffic channel we've tried, we've turned $1 into 7 minimum. Like every single one. And it's just a matter of figuring out like what's the best traffic channel.
You could literally go buy signs on the side of an interstate.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But just know your cost per lead and then build the sales team around it. Like, it doesn't matter, bro.
Yeah.
People are so limited in their thinking. Traffic channels are a dime a dozen, dude. But that's the thing is most people in this industry, they perceive that to be their biggest challenge. And I mean, it is if you don't understand how simple it is to solve. You know what I mean? So then they buy solutions to that, which fair play. You know what I mean? And in one way, like, we do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I say, oh, here's how to like get a big boost of views with like, whatever method we teach it, like boosting short form or the group model or whatever. Like, you can book 1 million calls, and we have people that just go crazy their first 30 days because like they have everything ready and they perceive traffic to be a complex problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've got the offer, they've already closed a few deals, but then like they just like, they don't understand that like it's just, you could just pull a lever and get as much attention as you want, kind of whenever you want. There's a million ways to do it. Like, social media's made it really easy. But yeah, like, I think the reason why I'm not like 2-3 million followers on Instagram and a big guy's like, I'm trying to build a company around it, and I'm not just trying to get like famous.
Yeah, dude. And like, just like in regards to scaling, because I started and then we had like a decent month, and then my immediate human reaction was, I need a shortcut. I need a new traffic sourse. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
It's like,
no,
I just needed to be consistent. I think growing consistently month over month for 5 years is underrated now, because some people get there in 5 months that it's cooler or something, when in reality, 95% of your customers aren't happy. Neither are you. So it's like, you might as well get there the right way instead of getting there fast.
Yeah. No, dude. Yeah. Totally. And then like, here's the lie of scaling quick. Here's the lie. You might put a lot of cash in the bank, but you build another form of debt. And the form of debt that you build is one of a total personal life destruction. So that's the first form that you just like, and by all means, if that's what you are okay with, then like, go do it. Like, that's somebody's prerogative, but you just have to be okay with that. And if you're okay with it, then go do it. I wasn't. Like, I wanted to get married. Like, I want to balance some relationships here. Like, I've got like a great family, siblings, parents, like all these things. Like, I don't want to like do 12-hour days and sleep 6 hours a night and wake up and within 10 minutes get back to work and just like do that. Yeah. Like, that's what you do. And if you're cool with that, do it. I wasn't. The other form of debt is in the form of just in general, man, if you're scaling that quickly, you can't build the right product. So if you see guys who scale that quick, but then they change their niche like 6 times in the process, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's because like they build this form of debt in the form of a product that didn't all the way meet expectations. And then slowly but surely people just kind of start to talk about it, and it's harder and harder to sell. So the further they scale, actually the quicker they're helping the market find out that they're not really worth buying. And then it's like this problem of like, they build these like cheaply built products with like Google Documents and like Loom videos, and they just throw it together in like a week and everything. And some people love it. Some people love the quick, direct, thing. But the problem is they leave so many questions unanswered. And then they build that debt, and then they have to change their niche. So you got to change your niche, you got to destroy your personal life. And then the last one is like team. This is something too. Like you see all these people hiring constantly. Like they're constantly looking for new talent because they're running their company like at Mach 10 all the time. And some people like they plug in and within 24 hours, they're given 80 million little tasks. And it's just like, whoa, where'd this come from? And they can't keep up, you know? So, yeah.
And I think I couldn't put words to how I've been feeling, but as soon as you started like talking about the debt, that's what I felt. That was the feeling I was trying to describe earlier when you asked like regarding income. The more you make in a negative way creates more debt. And I don't know what that debt is because I haven't experienced it before, but you just described it. And the realization that I had, what I want to do, and again, I love selling. I think we could transition, honestly, talking about sales too here in a second.
Let's do it.
I love selling, but I need to keep serving before selling. I should never, like I've gotten this new thing, and you know, I sold for you. So I learned a lot of my selling from you, but I want to serve people into my offers, not sell them. And I think you do a really good job of that, especially on YouTube. Like I remember how I felt when I was watching your content. Like I literally joined your program I felt like I had to book a call. Like you've given me so much free value. I'd be an absolute moron to not book a call. So that's the feeling I want to recreate in people, never twisting someone's arm. So whenever you serve before you sell, naturally you will make less. But I think you make a greater impact. So I'm cool with chilling around like 50 to 100K or whatever that number turns into. I don't want to focus on the number. I want to focus on serving. And then the number will go wherever the level of my serving goes. Does that make sense? So it's like, I just want to focus on giving value, and however much money I make or don't make, that's kind of not in my hands anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the only real way to sustain it, honestly, because otherwise, you know, you build like, you make a lot of money, but like if we could financially measure the form of debt that you build by doing it any other way than that, then you'd pretty much be at a net zero, even if you have like 5 mil in the bank, because it's like you have all these other things. Like you got to like figure out what your next offer is going to be, and you got to make hires over and over again. And people like they build their companies to sustain that level of scale by like building great training processes for team and all these things. And like kudos, like I think that's amazing, like that they can do that. Like we're aiming at like 500 a month in 2023, and the only way we're gonna do it, dude, is just by like over giving. And you know, we do make, like, you know, we had a guy join our mastermind who came from cold, and like he paid the full rate, and that was awesome. And like, you know, we don't always give before. We also, it's kind of, here's my mix. Like half of your sales should be just like reciprocity driven. The other half should be like, you know, they're a great fit and you're trying to get them out of their own way. Yeah. But it's never like twist an arm. Like I call off deals all the time. I feel like, hey man, like I just feel like, you know, you don't believe that this is the right fit for you. It doesn't matter if I do or not. The fact that you don't, like, that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and try and convince you. I know that it's a great fit, but if you don't trust me, ultimately that's I'll take responsibility for that. You go find somebody who you trust. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because like, if you know they're a great fit and you're telling them, it doesn't even matter, but if they don't trust you first, you know what I mean? And so like, how do you build trust quickly? Well, you can't. It's physically impossible. Like, that's human nature. Yeah. Trust takes time. It takes seeing somebody do what they said they're going to do over a good enough period of time. And then you're like, oh, I can trust them. Right. Yeah. So trust, it can't be artificially created. You know what I mean? It has to actually be invested in and instilled. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, like, I think there's a way. Let me ask you this. How can you speed up the trust building process? I have a few thoughts. Like, for instance, or you go ahead and answer. You answer, and then I bet you'll say what I'm thinking.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to speed it up. Social proof is one. Authority is another. There's these other ways of building trust quickly, like that marketers talk about all the time, like social proof, authority, testimonials, whatever. Those are forms of building trust. So integrating those into your sales process, whatever that looks like. Like one thing that we started doing is like when somebody books a call with us, we immediately just like send them over a full explainer video of like what we do, how it works, everything, our guarantee, all this stuff, and then like that way they know what they're getting themselves into. I don't know. That's what I think. What do you think?
Dude, I think all of those things you just said, but there's one that I just recently I've been thinking through. Authenticity.
How so?
That I feel like that is the quickest way to build trust is authenticity. So it's like I can show someone a testimonial, I can show someone the process, I can show someone my own results, but the authenticity is what puts us like on the same page, if that makes sense. So it's like I remember why I felt like I needed to book a call with you. You were a Christian, you liked watches, cigars, all these other things. You were just authentic. You were transparent about your actual life as a human. And it created like these intertwinings of trust because not even that you did it intentionally, but because you showed different angles of you, I related to you. Does that make sense? So it's like because you were authentic, I was able to relate to you, which caused me to trust you. Like I felt like I could get on a call with you and I just trust that you knew how to get me where I needed to go because you were there. Yeah. And because we shared commonalities.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, that's the concept of, in marketing, the attractive character, you know?
Yeah.
It's like sharing their values very openly, their backstory very openly, saying things people might not agree with, but then the people who do agree with it really like them and are more likely to do business with them. Like,
yeah. Dude, like, so there's a science to that. I need to be more polarizing, dude.
Yeah, think so?
Like some of the things we've said in this podcast, like some people probably already clicked off. Like, oh, they're talking about, faith. I'm done. It's like, bro,
totally. They're already out.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like, man, I love that. Dude, what do you want to talk about sales?
Let's do it.
So I had a question that I was thinking through when I was talking about like serving versus selling. Like, do you think there's a balance between the two, or do you think
they're the same thing, dude? I think they're the same thing, honestly. Like, I really do. And I think, if somebody has something they want, or like, here's why I think I think serving is selling, because it's like, you have to first fundamentally see money as like the least valuable form of value, like the least important form of value. And if you see it as the least important form of value, then it's like, okay, from that vantage point, I'm just helping somebody make the right decision. And I also know that I do say no. And when I say no, it's a strong no, and I give a strong why. So yeah, I do think it is, because I think they are being moved into doing something that is going to benefit them, something that they want to do.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's my belief that people wouldn't do it if they don't want to. Like, if they came on to a consultation or something and they were like, I know for a fact this is not something I want to do. I mean, I'd probably say, okay, cool, then I'll let you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, to me, it's so much more nuanced than just that 45-minute conversation you have with them. Like, there's so many other touch points and everything. But if you believe in your offer, then yeah, I believe that you should go out and get people into it. I think that's like a very popular thing in the marketing space and in the business and sales, education space. Like, if you have a good offer, if you have something you believe in, like, yeah, it's your duty to go and sell it. And I think that's somewhat true. I do think that like you can sell yourself on something that like you probably shouldn't sell yourself on. Yeah. I think there's like lines in the sand somewhere, but they're all very blurry. So like, I think some sales reps will be like, yeah, really, really excited to get you in this thing. But it's like, they're only excited to get you in because there's commission involved for them. That's why they're excited. And not only that, they're excited to get you in because they've sold themselves on the product, which is a great skill for any salesperson to have. But you just have to like, I don't know, man. There's some gut level like some gut level. Is this something that they actually need? You know what I mean? And I see why the e-learning industry has the reputation it has, because like, you know, I think it's half on the prospect's fault. I think it's half on the business owner's fault. You know what I mean? I think it's both, because like as these companies scale way up and they start selling to like, you know, common people, like unfortunately I think common people overvalue their money.
Yep.
Which is probably a part of why they're in the situation they're in. Right. And so then they join a program and it's not like everything they could have possibly hoped and dreamed for. And it's just a couple marks down from that. And because it's like that meme, right? Like the $500 payment, like, I hope I can change my life with this. I hope you know that me and my family really need this money and that I'm really trusting with $50,000 payment, money sent, thanks. Right? Like, it's that meme. So for me, it's like, it's so nuanced. Like, I don't know whose fault it lands on. So yeah, that's my answer to that. It's long-winded, but it's because it's like a lot to break down. And I refuse to have such a simplistic answer. I refuse to just be like, oh yeah, it's always the prospect's fault. If they didn't want to, they wouldn't want to. It's like, that's so intellectually dishonest. Yes, I know people that like, they do these like mental hurdles to get to the right place in their head. And for me, like, nah, I don't get that. Like, you should have something that's really, really, really good.
Dude, so this is kind of me asking you a question and like bringing in the listeners to it. So obviously, I know, you know me, like I'm stepping into like actually making money, if you will. Like, I've never made this amount of money before. So you said something like 3 different times in that answer where you said that, I'm not going to quote you, that poor people overvalue money. That's not what you said, but it seems that that's always the case. But how do you value money? How would you recommend I value it? Because I feel like I put too much value on money.
It's totally useless. Like, it does nothing for you, like, unless you know how to deploy it. And so money's only as valuable as the person who wields it. You know what I mean? Like, it's as valuable as your understanding of how to use it. So money itself is useless. It's like asking like, how valuable is like just the toolbox, you know? It's like inherently, like, there's billions of toolboxes. Yours is no different. No $1 is any different than another dollar. You know, it's the wielder. And so like, I value my skills. I value my mentality. I value my network. I value my state of mind. I value my personal relationships. And because I value those things, then my money kind of follows. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I think you make a lot of money as a byproduct of who you are, as much as a byproduct of like actually chasing money can make you. The only problem is like chasing money is a short fuse, because you realize that like you've been chasing the wrong thing. It's kind of like, I've seen this idea going around, like, don't chase butterflies, they'll only fly away from you. Like, just build a garden and the butterflies will come. Wow. You know? And so I love that. Because that's how I feel about money, man. Like, I will never not make money. Like, I will always make at least $1 million a year, honestly. Just, it's not that hard. It's because I've done the work. You know what I mean? Like, I know how to do that, and I know the leverage points of how to create that. And so, yeah, that's how I feel about it. I don't value it that much, because it's just a tool. Yeah.
And like, this is a little deeper regarding like the Bible, but it's like, dude, the most valuable thing on earth is gold. I mean, commonly, you know, like that's like a good form of currency, gold. And like in heaven, we literally walk on streets of gold. So it's like on earth, the most worthless thing you could think of is concrete. Like, we literally walk on it. But like in heaven, the streets are made of the most valuable thing on earth, and we walk on it. So it's like that thought process and what you just said is how I'm trying to shift my mind. Because I have to be honest, like, money is a very tempting thing for people to break out of, especially like if you've never had it. But I'm coming out of it, and I'm trying to step into kind of like the way that you think. And most people I've seen that make money think how you're thinking about money too. Like, it's like, dude, it's worthless. Like
Yeah,
you didn't
well, it's
hesitate
like-
at all to answer that.
Yeah, dude.
Like, dude, it's trash.
Yeah, it's completely pointless. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that money is just an option machine. You know what I mean? Like it gives you options in your personal life. It gives you options in your business life. It gives you leverage. That's it. Personal life, it gives you options. Business life, it gives you leverage. That's the two things it gives you in the two fields of your life. And so outside of that, you just have to ask is like, do I want more options in my life? Do I want more leverage in business? If you want one of those two things, then you should probably figure out how to make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted both of those things. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be able to pull bigger ropes in business and like have a bigger lever to do bigger things with. And in my personal life, I wanted options. Like I wanted to enjoy nice things and buy, like I've always been a giver, man. Like in my personal life, money plays the role of allowing me to give. In my business world, it gives me the ability to have a lever. Like, give me a big enough lever, I can move the world, right? And money's just a lever. So, yeah, dude.
So I love that perspective. It's so good.
What about you, man? Do you feel like you're going out of it easily? Do you feel like it's a challenge for you? Like, where do you view money, if you're honest with yourself? Like, how do you see it?
Yeah, I grew up pretty, not going to say poor, but on the lower end of like the middle class, like just like with parents, like my mom, stepdad, when I was like 13 or so, got on drugs. So they were like in and out of jail, and money was always on their lips in a negative way.
Yeah.
And again, they were like stoned or whatever. So they were probably just wanting money for like, bad reasons. But I always felt like there was a lack of money. And, we'd go places, we can't get that. It's like, the lack of options, I saw it as a very negative thing. So like growing up, that's kind of what drove me, was like, how can I get money and then X will be better? You know what I mean? But what I've realized was when you get the money, it doesn't change anything. It's just like more options and more leverage, like you said.
Yep.
So to answer a long-winded answer, I know it in my head to be true, but there's like an emotional kid that I'm trying to get rid of. So it's like my financial emotional intelligence is still 14 years old.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'm
dude.
trying to get it to 26 where I am today. So
well, I had, if I have a form of privilege, man, I mean, definitely the home I was raised in, like we were by no means like wealthy, but we were upper middle class. Like my sister goes to horse riding lessons and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But there was like 1 or 2 years, like the thing that flung me into entrepreneurship was seeing that all like hung out in front of my family. We're all looking at it and like, will that still be here? We have no idea. And it's just the house fire. You know what I mean? Like we went through the house fire. All kinds of other stuff happened during that time. My mom and dad both worked on the business, and it just like was impossible to run because of all the things that were going on. You know how it goes. The negative feedback loop starts happening in the business because they can't really be there for it. And then that turns into a million other problems, which then turn into some legal problems, which just was terrible. It was like, and that's what flung me into this. It was like, I refuse to not be able to give to other people. And I felt like for the first time in my life, my family had become very like self-focused. Yeah. Because I came from very much came from a family of like, we want to give, we want to impact others, we want to do great service to the world, we want to give God's light to other people. But the first time ever, we were very, very, very self-focused. And I think that was probably subliminally the message. I want to learn how to speak Hebrew. It's like my only tattoo right now is in Hebrew. Right?
Amazing.
And I want to learn how to speak Hebrew. And in Hebrew, when a word has a double meaning, like in English, we've got right and right, like right direction, right correct, right? Yeah. Right. And it's like, it means nothing, right? But in Hebrew, when a word has a double meaning, or one word can mean multiple things, it's actually very intentional. It's like one of the first words I've learned is the word Deborah, which is actually where we get the name Deborah. And this word is beautiful. It's the same word for language or communication or words as the same word for bees, right? And you think about what bees do, like bees can either temporarily sting, right, and then kill the user. So if you hurt others with your words, you actually slowly kill yourself in the process, right? Or you can create literally the only food that doesn't expire, known to man, is honey. It's the only food that if you put it on a shelf for hundreds of years, it's still good to go.
Dang.
There's no other food like it. So bees can either temporarily sting and hurt themselves in the process or create the only lasting thing. And so in Hebrew, they understood this concept. So the word for words and bees are the same. Beautiful concept, right? In the same vein, the word for poverty and the word for evil are the same word. Because not because those who are in poverty are evil, but unfortunately due to human nature, they're more likely to conduct evil. And so I saw this in my family for the very first time. Like for the first time, I saw some decisions being made in the family business, and I was like, I'm not sure that that's the right way to do this. And like in the back of my head, I'm like, where's all this energy? It's not good for us. Like, and I was like, I just refuse to let this happen to my immediate family as well as my future family. Like, I want to always be a giving family, right? And so that's, I think, probably one of the motivators that got me in. It's just very interesting. I think it's very different, kind of our upbringing. But for me, like, yeah, like I think the best part of personal wealth is you can actually live your life for other people. Because if you don't have a flow of cash flow, if you don't have that base need met, it's like being starving. Like you can't think about how to serve other people because you are starving.
Yep.
Right. And all you're thinking about is your next meal.
Dude, I love that. And like one thing I see, especially, in the Christian faith, if you will, is people thinking it's like a good thing to be broke. It's like a badge of honor to be a Christian that has no money. It's like, dude, you're crazy, bro. You're like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. You're telling me it honors God by you wondering how you're going to pay your bills. No. Yeah,
right.
Like, dude, I don't know. Well, what do you think about that?
My devil's advocate. The scripture talks about fasting. You know what I mean? Talks about like putting aside worldly needs for a moment to be with God. So I think the reason why Christians put being broke on a pedestal is because in their eyes it makes them closer to God. In reality, how close you are to God is how close you are to God. Broke, rich doesn't change it, right? Yeah. Like it's not. You know what I mean? You can't look at like finances and then be like, oh, he's got more money, he must be further from God. Yeah. And also, I used to kind of like, there's that verse, it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for someone to get through the eye of a needle. I used to look at that verse and like, people have all these weird, wacky translations of like why it says that and like that. But no, it is. Because when you have a lot of money, you stop relying on God. Yep. It's simple. Like it's hard for everybody to get into heaven, but it is hard for rich people to get into heaven too. And here's why. It's also hard for stealers to get into heaven. It's also hard for sexual promiscuous people to get into heaven. It's hard for all these sorts of people to get into heaven. Obviously, Christ came, he forgave us. Through his love, we're given entry. That said, it is hard for a rich man because rich people learn to not rely on God. And so the posture that I've found, dude, is like, who does it all belong to? That's the thing. That's what you have to remind yourself of. Like, your body isn't even yours. Who are you to think that your bank account is yours? Right? You start to take this like prideful ownership of something that's been rented out to you. It's on lease, you know? And so that to me is the posture, I think. But I do fundamentally agree that like, this like fake, this like, it is like it's almost like a ego in humility thing that Christians have. And I got this radar for it when I was going through church and youth programs and everything growing up. I was just like, that's fake humility. You're not actually humble. Yeah. You want to look humble, and so you take the low-paying job because, quote, the meek will inherit the earth, right? And it's just like, all right, dude. I can see right through you, but I'm just not going to take the time to point it out.
Dude, 100%. So it's like there's like this balance, and I 100% agree with like the devil advocate angle, because it's like at the end of the day you have to be obedient to God. But the reason, like, people use like the young rich ruler, or like Jesus said, if you want to inherit the kingdom, give away everything you have. It wasn't like a blanket statement for every rich person or rich person. Like, in reality, we're in the top 1% of the world, I think, like just by being in America, much less being in the top, 3% of America. So we're already classified as rich in the scheme of like the grand scheme of the world. So like what he was meaning was money had that guy's heart.
Yes.
For someone else, it could be food or a watch or, like a different material item. So he was just speaking to that guy. And it's
100%,
like,
dude. You gotta sacrifice whatever's holding your heart.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I remember the first time you and I met in person, we were on the way to Austin together. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
Like, I couldn't even drive in the snow, so you had to drive.
Yeah, that's right, dude. You were too afraid to drive in the
Texas
snow.
problems, bro.
Yeah. I was like, dude, just like, you were driving like so shaky. I was like, dude, they're like, I know we just met, but like, I can drive. Like, I'm so used to the snow.
Dude, yeah, I
Yeah.
could feel the judgment. You were like, bro, you're going like 40 miles an hour. It's like, bro,
It's on the
just wanna
interstate. You're
drive,
going
dude.
40. Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about like the idea of financial freedom. And my thoughts like have changed. Financial freedom, a lot of people would say it's when you aren't worrying about money, which obviously, I mean, I guess that could be true. Or let's say it this way. Financial freedom is when you aren't a slave to money. Okay? That to me would mean that you have enough money to work for you versus you working for money.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought has been the best way to become a slave to money is to be forced to work 40 hours a week to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You have written away 80% of your life to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's where like most Christians are, and that means you're humble.
It is where they are, and I could see there being some humility in slavery. You know, I mean, there's like for example, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of writings that came out of like Jewish people in the Holocaust. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of moments of like, I don't know if you've read Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl.
I haven't.
Talking about, oh, dude, you would love that book. You would freaking love that book. And it talks about like seeing through the void of what he was experiencing in the camp, which we can get into that, but I won't go off topic too much. Like, I somewhat get it, but it does feel like an artificial poverty, doesn't it? Because we're in America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like if you're actually in poverty and you are close to God, amazing.
Yeah.
I guess, and this is maybe coming from how I view the market and how I view the opportunity that's going around, and I think it's a very, like, I hate this word, but like privileged, you know, point of view because I've got a lot of leverage. But like, dude, there's so much opportunity. Even moving into the recession, like, things are fine. Like, any fear mongering you're hearing is just designed to get you to submit to the higher power. So yeah, I mean, no, dude, I to me it feels like fake poverty because like you still have a car,
Yeah.
and you still have insurance, and you still have a hospital nearby, and you still have family that loves you probably. Like this is something that I want to do for my kids that I think was very wise that my parents did for me, was we actually went and saw like real poverty. Like where my sister, she was adopted from Guatemala. And like the slums in Guatemala, you realize most of the young men in this area die by the age of 20 or 25 because of AIDS.
No.
And a majority of them, they get the AIDS, unfortunately, from sexual misconduct of their father or other older men. And so they don't even live to 25, dude. It's like, okay, that's real. We're talking real poverty. Like, through that suffering, if they can still see God, I have respect and honor for that person, because that is a person with proper soul strength.
Yep.
What you call poverty, your $40K a year job, and you still got a Toyota Camry, shut up, dude. You don't know poverty. And like, I don't either. I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying, like, that's my view on the whole Christians, you know, finding some honor and having like less than $100 in the bank. Like, you have had 100 in the bank at some point.
Yeah.
That's like life-changing money to the right person. I went on this like mission trip to this like rural city in Zambia, Africa, which is like a very popular place to do a mission trip because there are strong Christians over there. So it wasn't like too honorable of me. But, you know, there's this one family that literally would hunt rats in their field to then cook for dinner. So they would put out traps, find and cook rats, and I ate one with them. And it was gross and weird, but I still ate it, and I was respectful because they worked for this. Yeah. They worked all day to find 6 rats because it was me, her 2 daughters, the husband had left, the 2 pastors I was with, and it was about 6 people, and typically they only have to do 3 because it's mother and 2 daughters. Yeah. They do 6, so they work overtime to find these rats. Like, that's poverty, dude. And these people the thing they loved the most was the Bible they had with them. I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is incredible to me. And I was crying. I was like, this is so beautiful. So I see where Christians are coming from, but you have to understand we live in like an incredible place.
Dude,
like, you don't get it.
That's so incredible that you got to experience that. There was a guy at our church like 3 weeks ago. I didn't realize how, I think it's okay to say it on the podcast. It wasn't like secret or anything, but this pastor's in China, right? Mm-hmm. And he's been preaching for 25 years, dude, in China, but he doesn't have a Bible. Okay. Dude. So all he has is Acts chapter 2 written on like a literal, like a piece of paper, dude. So he
doesn't get caught with the Bible?
They don't have Bibles over there. So
right, but like he's had to write it down so he doesn't get caught, right?
Yeah. So he got access to this piece of paper, right? So like a pastor who had a Bible gave them all, like this story, and then sent like all these pastors out to preach. But it was only one chapter, bro. So for 25 years, like this is a true story. This pastor was preaching with one chapter of the Bible. He's never seen a Bible before, like in his hand. Wow. And like there was this missionary to China from the U.S. Literally, his job was to get people Bibles who needed them over there, pastors' Bibles in the underground church. And this pastor had a backpack full of Bibles from America, met this pastor who had one page, and he was like, dude, I'll trade you my Bible for that piece of paper. And like whenever he held the Bible for the first time in his life, like the pastor was saying, he fell to his knees like weeping for uncontrollably for like 30 minutes. Like he couldn't get up. And it's like that's how much they value the Bible. And like, dude, this like the guy brought the piece of paper with him. Like it almost seems too dramatic of a story to be real, but like, dude, it's crazy how much people value like the Word of God. And how little I do.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of convicted me. I was like, dang, dude, if somebody gave me a Bible, no way I would cry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I would. Well, because we got access, dude.
Yep.
We have access.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's crazy, man. That really is crazy. Mm-hmm. To me, dude, I really, that whole topic, dude, it's so funny, man, when, I don't know, I know there's that verse in the Bible, you're not supposed to attack people of your own faith, and I don't know if this is so much of an attack more as it is like a challenge. Like, I just want people who are of the same faith to me to come up with a more original challenge of my faith.
Yeah.
Like they're like, Trey, it's harder for a rich. I'm like, I know. Like, I've heard it. Like, I know, dude. Yeah. I struggle with my faith just like you do. You probably, who knows what you have. You got a lust issue, you got an alcohol issue, you got something. Like, everybody, we're of the world, man. We're forgiven. You know, and I think, at one point money definitely was an issue, and I have to still battle with that. Like, I had a lust for money as opposed to wanting it for the right reasons, Yeah. So yeah, man, it's nobody's perfect. Nobody has it figured out. No Christian has it figured out. Yeah. And that's why I think it stands true as a proper, like, that's the thing, man. I think other religions, the reason, like, going back to like what Tate said about Christianity, how it's kind of like a passive religion, it's because it's like, this is the thing, right? It's not a set of practices, right? Yeah. It's like, it's not like don't eat pork. It's like, it's a relationship, and it's harder to see. And it's hard, we don't go to, we don't bow to like, statues of certain people. I think like some Catholics do or something, but like we don't do that, and so it's harder to see the surface of it. You just have to look at the life of somebody. But in our culture, it's only the shallowest of people that get pushed to the top, because shallow people create shallow results, and shallow results can be easier understood by the mass. And so it's harder to see the fruits of the Christian lifestyle in today's culture. Yeah. It's getting harder and harder and harder. Yeah. So it's like, of course people are doubting it, because it's like the fruits aren't so apparent, Yeah. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah. So good.
What else is there to talk about?
Dude, I was almost going to say we should talk about politics. I was like, I always wanted to talk politics with Trey, but no, I don't know.
We can do it. We can do it. I'm not very diplomatic, but
I don't know why my mind went there.
what do you want to talk about? How so?
Dude, let's say this. Not necessarily politics, because to be honest, I don't know that much about politics. Like, I'm pretty in the middle.
I don't follow very closely. I very intentionally try not to. It's so toxic, dude.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I thought the coaching industry was toxic. Like, not even close, bro.
Could you imagine working in politics? Oh my gosh.
Oh man, dude.
I feel so sorry for those poor lost souls, man. Those guys are lost. I don't care what side they're on. They're so far gone. So, there is no recovering that soul, man.
Yeah, they literally believe their own lies. No, I think like with the masculinity topic, and with the state of our country, or countries, the whole world, it seems like.
We're all kind of starting to blend a little bit.
Yeah, for real. Like I've never felt that way. But it's like we're all blending together. Like the internet's brought us all together.
Yeah, but that's where I have some respect for China. They're putting some borders around their internet.
Yeah,
I respect that.
Dude, they invented TikTok and they don't even let them use it.
Yes, dude, it's smart.
They know how toxic it is.
Like, Trump was all about have a border wall. I'm like, we need an internet wall, dude. We need an internet wall.
Yes.
Like, America needs its own algorithm for YouTube. I think that is smart. Why aren't we having that That's one of my opinions. Like, we're so obsessed with the border wall. Like, okay, cool, I get that. Like, we don't want, people voting who aren't registered American citizens. Cool, makes sense. An internet wall, though, because like now we're just going to start to think like every other country. Like there goes our, market advantage, right? Like it'd be like if you try to run a business, but you were constantly listening to your competition and thinking the same things. Thoughts are actions. Thoughts are the, prerequisite for actions. So we all become the same thing. And like, it's not good. Yeah, it's not good. We need an internet wall, man.
Yeah.
That's one of my opinion.
Dude, let's build an internet wall. Start a campaign.
We need it.
No. Yeah. I don't know, dude. I just feel like the root issue with almost everything that I've seen is like the masculinity side of things.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like politics have turned into what is the term? Like, don't get canceled. Like political correctness. Yeah. You cannot offend anyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I put that on my story like a couple days ago. I'm like, the reason why I like guys like Kanye, Tate, Trump is because like they've earned the right to say whatever they want, dude.
Yeah.
Like, do you really think Kanye's going to go broke over this stuff?
No.
Attention is currency for that guy, dude. Like, he can literally go on a podcast and say, I love Hitler. And then he's going to make, like, people like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I was like, oh, right, Kanye exists. And I listened to Kanye that morning in the gym, like, irrelevant of what he thinks of whatever. I'm just like, it's purely attention. Yeah. And people don't understand this. I definitely don't agree with what he's saying, but it's attention, right? That's the currency. And people, I don't know, man. And so they have the right to say whatever they want, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you see Trump came up with NFTs. It's hilarious.
Yeah, bro. Didn't he make like a ton of sales too?
He made so much money, bro.
Oh, man.
And I'm just like, dude. Like, people are like, oh, he's sold out. He's not taking himself seriously. Like, no, dude. He's smarter than that. It's an attention. Everybody's talking about it. It's hilarious. Like, I don't know, man. People are so one-dimensional in their thinking. Like, they think that because somebody's saying it, that it must just mean what they say. But like in our culture right now, it's all attention plays, all of it. And when you start seeing it through that lens, you start to like kind of respect the hustle. And like that's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't even listen to what somebody says. I like seeing how much how riled they can get people up, and once they're talking about them, and that's how Trump took 2016. It's like the same thing. It's like,
dude, and
just respect the hustle.
I forget the book I was reading, but like relating it back to kind of like our industry and the people listening, I'm sure like attention, like you said on your story, is currency. So finding out you can buy attention, like that's one way to get it. You can, build it like organically or whatever. But like what I'm trying to figure out is how to say the right things to get attention. And it's by now, to relate it back to what we were talking about, now it's the truth. I've realized
The truth.
people hate the truth.
Yep. They
So
hate the
I'm
truth.
just gonna start speaking the truth. Like I tested it in one video. It's my most liked video ever.
Yeah,
And all I did was just say that they're pansies.
All I did was say that men are just pansies right now, and everybody's like, oh, everybody's up in arms.
The
Yeah,
best
dude,
video I've ever
it's
seen.
the funniest thing. That's actually a great insight, man. This is what I love about your brain is you have this like incredibly like not childish but childlike kind of like view of complex things, and you're just like, dude, it's the truth. And I'm like, that's right. Actually, it is, isn't it? Like I would use more complex words like controversy blended with like I don't know. I would have too many words to describe one word, and I just respect that about you. Yeah, you're like truth. Like yeah,
Dude.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's like they hate the truth. And then I was looking at Andrew Tate, like, bro, if you ever want the most banging VSL video you could ever make in your life, go click on Andrew Tate's Twitter, watch his 3-minute video, and then go to his sales page. Like, seriously. I was like, bro, I might sign up for the Real World or Hustlers
so
Academy,
funny, dude.
whatever.
That's
But like
so funny,
the way
dude.
he pins an enemy, like the Matrix. So it's like by creating an enemy, you know. So I like people hate the truth, and there also needs to be an enemy.
Yep.
So,
They don't like the truth, and he's being an enemy. Yep.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's totally brilliant. Like that's something we need to ask ourselves is like, what truth are we preaching, and what's the enemy?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And like the masculinity stuff that's popping up right now is phenomenal because it's like the truth is men are weak. The enemy is like I guess the Matrix or the enemy
Weak
is
men.
what? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, other weak men. Yeah, working a job. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately, the enemy becomes like being married. So like there's a problem there. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. No, I love that. Well, what else is there to talk about politically?
Dude, there's like so many ways we could go.
If somebody ever wants to see what sort of a relationship I have with like a high performing closer on my team, this is what it looks like.
Dude, it's
It
like,
wasn't much different when you were working here either, as far as
yeah, it's like some of our team calls would be at the gym, literally talking exactly like this.
yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on well, I'll tell you one of my thoughts. Here's one of my thoughts. Politically, I think the whole thing's a show. I think it's all a show.
Yeah.
I don't think much has actually changed or much will actually change because there's too much lobbying from powerful people to keep the tax code the same way, to keep the system how it is because they're doing well, they're profiting off of it. Like why would the actual people in power want things to change because they're still in power? So I don't think things are actually going to change. I just think like they have a lot of control over meaning like whoever's pulling the strings with like the media. They have a lot of control over the mass population, people who, you know, aren't really just haven't wisened up to the fact that like news. There was a law. I forget the name. I think it was like Freedom of Information Law or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it basically legislated that news companies are forced to like report directly on like what is truth, and it's very hard to measure, but basically do their best not to speak to a specific demographic. Unfortunately, now most news companies like they're just selling ad spots, and so the best way to sell ad spots is to speak to a specific demographic and do what you just said, which is like cause fear, point out an enemy. You know what I mean? And it's just they're on this cycle of like pointing out an enemy, causing fear, pointing out an enemy, causing fear. It's just over. It's ridiculous, dude. It's so stupid,
Dude, and it's like this perverse way.
Yeah,
It works because they're perverting the truth.
yeah.
But they're using that system, an enemy and then the truth, which they're not telling the truth most of the time. But it's like the same is true if we actually pointed out the real enemy and the real truth, it would still work.
Yeah,
It would just actually work. So,
dude.
yeah, dude, like
100%.
it's insane.
It's so silly. Like this is I honestly I try not to be a very judgmental person. I really try. But when I like walk into somebody's home and like I see CNN or even Fox News, I don't care. If I see the news on the TV, I'm like, we're not gonna get along. I'm not on a core level. Well, like we can hang out, but like on a core level, man, we don't see the world the same way.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that is like everything that gets spewed out of any news. Like, there's so few exceptions, dude.
Yeah.
And so this is why I think there's some wisdom to not caring that much.
Yeah.
And just like I'm like, this is, I think maybe if I were to classify myself, I'd just be a libertarian. Like, I'm just here to put a bunch of money in the bank so that if I have to dip, I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's the only way to do it. When you start to view the world that way, it's like the only way to do it, because how else are you going to have your freedom? Like, you know, a lot of people don't even think voting matters anymore. Most people are like, yeah, voting doesn't even count anymore. Cause like, you know, like, wasn't it like when Biden got elected, like 400,000 votes appeared overnight in like, what was it?
In the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. It's just like, okay, who's to say that won't happen for a Republican candidate too? You know what I mean? Like, if they can do that, they can do that for whoever they want. You know, so it's just like, yeah. So to me, dude, it like, my thinking is America was set up to be states first, fed as the last thing. But the human psyche, man, is just like so addicted to having a ruler. Almost, it seems like we need like a person, a single person. So somehow the president became that. They're not supposed to be that. They're supposed to be in charge of the military, and they're supposed to pass bills. That's it. They're supposed to be in charge of the military and pass bills. But for some reason, the human psyche, we need a leader. We need a single figure, which is supposed to be like, again, like, you know, the governors of your state. Like Indiana, where I live, has a governor. We all have governors, and the governor kind of leads. And the Fed just kind of stays out of the way, and just like, basically they just stay out of the way. That's how it was designed. But the people were swayed over decades of like, you know, how we're running the news and whatever, like, to love our leaders if they're important when they're really not that important. They don't really represent our country. Like, the states represent the country, the governors of the states. That's why we have states.
Yeah.
They were designed to be their own micro countries so that we can have a competitive system where we see whose legislation and whose social structure and economic structure outperforms the others, and we can all learn from one another in one union. That was the United States. We're all states. But now it's not that. Now the United States is like its own state. And that's not how it's supposed to be. So that's where we went wrong. You know what I mean? Like, way before any of this. And way before even like we lost the gold standard on fiat. You know what I mean? We lost what states meant. So like we from the get, like, we started losing track of how it was designed. And I'm starting to sound like super patriotic because it's because I am. Like, I love my country. I just hate what it's doing right now. You know what I mean? I think it's like stupid. I think it's terrible. Yeah. And like, I'm looking at other countries all the time. I'm like, do I want to raise kids here? I have no idea.
Dubai. I think we just need to move to Dubai. I think you're right. That's
I sent you that video. I was like, dude, just move to Dubai with me.
Dude, like, it's crazy. I've been seeing some random videos of Dubai, and then you sent me that. I was like, dude, I would actually be down to visit, bro.
No, I literally, because I would come back all the time, and it's just like, just don't tax me and stop telling me how to live my life. I don't care, dude.
Yeah. Apparently, there's like no crime over there too.
Oh yeah, because everybody's wealthy. Why would you commit crime?
Yeah.
Why would you commit crime? You have a successful company. Why would you commit crime? Why would you risk your reputation for $100? Like, why would you do that? That's the poverty is evil concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude. Like, there's no break-ins. There's no theft. There's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they also have like a pretty high bar for who they let live there too. I believe there's like a net worth requirement or something like this for certain areas of the city, which it's kind of neat. Like, it's very, you know, it's very exclusive, which, you know, doesn't appeal to people who don't understand that way of thinking. But it appeals to me a lot because it's like, all right, like, I can just like not worry about leaving my stuff about or whatever. Yeah, dude, I like the idea of it. It'd be awesome, and I'm considering it. But the problem is, it's just like, I'm so tied in with my family, dude. I love my family. Yeah. And it's just like, that's probably why I'm still here. For if there's any reason why I'm still here, it's family. And also, like, I'm newly married, and like, does my wife want to live in Dubai right now? Like, I don't know. Like, ultimately, if I'm the man, and if like I knew we had to go, we would just go. You know what I mean? And like, she would ultimately trust me, and I would just have to do it. But yeah, it's just considering these things.
Yeah, so. Same. I love my family.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Would you do it though? Like, if you could, like, right now, negating family, you would do it? You have to consider too, this is something I learned. You're not allowed to spread your faith in Dubai.
Really?
Yeah.
Then heck
criminal punishment.
yeah, let's do it. Let's specifically go there.
Yeah, I want to do more now, right? Like I'm like, all right, like
Brandon
now,
Forbes locked.
finally, like my faith is like a problem. It's not something I can just walk over. I have to actually know what I believe and why I believe it, which is important, I think, to have faith. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's almost why I feel like people in America have become, it's like we created this freedom which has caused us to become passive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, for instance, like the story whenever you went on the missions trip and they had to hunt to get the food. We don't have to hunt for anything anymore. It's just handed to us. And if you don't have a job, you don't need a job because you can just get the government to give you food.
Get welfare.
Yeah, so it's like there's no incentive to becoming successful, because if you become successful, they're going to cancel you, because to be successful, you have to stand for something. And if you stand for something, you're evil. So it's like, gosh. You know what I mean?
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's harder to be, this is a hot take. I think it's harder to be financially successful.
Oh.
Like harder in every single, or sorry, my bad. It is harder if you got rid of the money. Like if you just got rid of the money. Forget that advantage exists. Forget that positive exists. I think your life fundamentally is harder existence in every single possible way than somebody who lives in even poverty. Because even in poverty, honestly, here's why I think this. I think because even in poverty, you're forced to band together, so you have others. If you don't climb this ladder correctly, you're alone. You got all eyes on you. It's pressure every single day. It's attacks from different directions. It's fires you got to put out. You got to manage all this wealth, manage all this influence. And most people, they're there and they're alone. Yeah. And so to me, it's just like, I think it's easier to be in poverty if you climb the ladder wrong. In some ways, I found myself like envious. It was very strange. I found myself like envious. I was like, every morning they get up, they hug one another, they laugh. Like there was no sense of like frustration at their state when I visited these people. There was like, of course they had visitors. I'm sure they have problems. Like, you know, we were showing up, we were like white people. They don't see white people that much. And, you know, who knows, like they could have been putting on a little bit of a show for us. But as far as I was concerned, and as far, you know, I'm generally a pretty good read of character and everything. Like they seemed like legitimately happy people. And I think it was because they had one another. I mean, they had one another, and that's all they had. So they were forced to lean on one another. And that's the challenge, I think, is like in order to build something of meaning, you have to like really take a lot of bets on yourself. Yeah. And so like that's why I don't think there's any other way to do it other than like being young. Like if I were 40 and I had kids, I'd just stick to my 9 to 5. Like honestly, I would, because I could not do this and have as many kids as I want to have. Like I want to have a lot of kids. Yeah. I just work a job, man. And that's totally fine. And there's tons of honor in that because you're a father, and that's more important. Yeah.
Dude, I saw what you put on Facebook. Like as soon as I woke up, like got a coffee, whatever, pulled up my phone, and something you said this morning, I think, was that not everyone is supposed to start a business.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Not everybody is. Yeah. If you work a job, you've got one. It's that thing, right? If you work a job, you've got one customer and it's your boss. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, dude. I learned that from a guy named Rabbi Daniel Lapin. I love that concept. He was like, everybody's an entrepreneur. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a business owner or working a job. You're an entrepreneur, and if you're a business owner, you've got many, many, many customers or clients. If you are a worker, then you've got one client. It's your boss. You know what I mean? And it's like, imagine having to worry about one client all the time and knowing exactly how much they're going to pay you. It's like, sounds kind of nice. Yeah. Sounds kind of nice. Like, one of our mastermind clients, I told him that. I'm like, you know, I honestly think if I found a job that paid me about $1 million a year, that gave me the same amount of like proper freedom and sense of control and the room for growth too. I wouldn't settle at $1 million. The same room for growth as my current vehicle. Then like I'd probably take it, because there's something about integrating into a bigger system where, you know, like there's a lot more you can rely on. There's nothing I can rely on in my situation right now. It's only me. You know what I mean? And so you just have to be really comfortable with that. Yeah. And I am, because ultimately, you know, it's like the psycho-cybernetics concept of like repeating your successes to yourself, like remembering what you're made of daily, and letting your failures just kind of in one ear and out the other. It's like, yeah, I failed, but I'm not a failure. There was just a lesson there. So all you see are lessons and successes. And if you just mix a big old bucket of lessons and successes, like, you're going to become something amazing that's worth betting on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. I would probably take it. I probably would.
Yeah. Probably would as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Hot take. Yeah.
How much time do you have, dude?
How much time do you have?
I have probably 15 minutes. Actually, probably more than that. I mean, I've got until 2. It's 11:45. I mean, obviously, we're not going to take up time, but
I've got like 30 more minutes.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I would take it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think as long as it aligned with like what we were talking about earlier, like the mission.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
Like, what would you say your mission is? Like, if you had a person, not the business, like a personal Trey Cockrum mission statement.
I want to get people out of their own way, man. I want to get people out of their own way.
Yeah.
I think people have been placed into their head through their environment, through maybe an upbringing, and parents that had the best, intentions sometimes, or sometimes they didn't. And their environment, the culture we live in and everything, there's so many limiting ideas. And like, I think becoming who I've become today, it was more about unlearning a lot of those limiting ideas than it was about learning anything new, honestly.
Yeah.
And even growing up in a household where it was pretty entrepreneurial and everything, there was still like a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
And everybody experiences. It doesn't matter your starting point. You have to go through that learning curve. And so, yeah, I think just getting people out of their own way, helping people understand what they're personally capable of, getting them tapped into, their God-given gifts and talents, and getting them to leverage them in a way that, serves other people. And I think even deeper than that, I think like my mission is just to be an example. You know what I mean? Like, if nothing else, I just want to be an example of like what success could look like. And if that inspires somebody else to go and create that, then like that's amazing to me. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody looks at what I've built and wants to do it themselves, like, I only want them to try.
Yeah.
I just want them to be ready for like, a lot of like going through hell, but you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my mission. I mean, I've got a list of missions, but that's probably my personal mission. Get people out of their own way, because I feel like I'm in the constant process of getting out of my own way constantly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like I feel like I shed skin once a month. You know what I mean? Constant. So, and what about you? What would you say? And what are your thoughts on mine?
Yeah, I think my thoughts on your mission is so good because it's literally like a byproduct of what you do. Like, I've told you several times, like, you've helped me personally so many times get out of my own way. And even like, I know this is a podcast, so I don't want to like start an ideal thing, but it's like, as I'm even doing this, I'm realizing how I've been in my own way in certain areas, like as we're just talking right now. So it's like, you sharing like your ideas, your thoughts, it's helping me realize what my mission is. And similar to you, and I actually told you this back in Austin, I feel like my mission, simply put, is to help people. How do I want to put it? I want to inspire people to pursue their God dream, to go after something. Like in the Bible, it talks about people perish for lack of vision. It's like where there is no vision, people perish. And it's like, I think the state of the man sitting on his couch eating potato chips is he has no vision for his life.
Yeah, totally. Well, when you don't have that vision, you succumb to comforts and short-term satisfactions and such. Like
if
my
you
wife
don't,
asked me, like, how did you get out of your porn problem? I'm like, I just built a better life, honestly.
Yeah.
I built a better life. I don't need porn anymore.
Yeah. So it's like, I can help the person who wants a better life or wants a vision.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some people who are totally okay sitting on the couch, eating potato chips, playing Nintendo after work. Like, bro, I can't help you. You can't even help you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to help the person who is sick of where they're at, but doesn't know what to do or doesn't have the tools, accountability, community, belief in themselves to pursue something.
Dude, that's so good, man. And I would add something to like almost to the back of that too. Here's what I'm realizing. I built the life I want. I did it. Like literally I did it. I married an amazing woman. I built an amazing business. I'm now having to learn and actually integrate into my habitual thought process how to be happy about it. Because like I was so used to chasing it. You know what I mean? I was built into myself, the chase. And like the concept that I shared a moment ago about plant a garden, let the butterflies come. Don't chase butterflies, let the butterflies come. In the same way, that state of mind of gratitude and of happiness will then, as a byproduct, create the things that you want in your life very naturally because you're not in a state of need.
Yeah.
I'm having to learn how to be like, dude, I did it. Like my wife just brought me like food and like she's in the kitchen. She's beautiful.
I was going to say that. Like
bro, like she's gorgeous. We're happy. Like we just had a great conversation this morning about like some stuff that we're dealing with and like the business is good and like it's profitable and like, bro, like I'm doing it. And so you have to like unlearn the chase. You have to like be like, okay, I'm doing it. And like what's interesting is what I've found is if you're in that state of chasing, you don't recognize when you're there. And because you don't recognize when you're there, I think what I'm realizing is gratitude cements it. So once you're there, gratitude like cements it into your life. But if you get there and you still chase, you know what I mean? Like you can't reflect, you can't think about like, why am I here? What got me here? Because you're like still moving and everything. And so, yeah, dude, like I think very recently I've passed through this like gate of like, I deserve this. I've worked for this. This is my life now. I'm going to make a lot of money. That's a byproduct of my existence. I'm going to have a beautiful relationship with my wife. Byproduct as well. The only thing I have to do is just like not make any stupid decisions, but I'm a really smart guy and that's not going to happen. But I had to work to get to that mindset. For the longest time, it was I need, chase. I gotta build. Now, like we're getting to like 500,000 a month next year. Honestly, just because it's like something amazing that I get to do.
Yeah,
I don't need to. You know what I mean? It's like it would just be so freaking cool to tell my wife like, yeah, we did $500,000 this month. It'd be amazing, and like I want to do that because it'd just be like, how cool would that be? And that's the only reason I can think of because like I don't need more options in my life. I don't need more leverage in business. It's purely just. That's why I think high-level entrepreneurs call it a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why they call it the game. Because it is a game. And when you see it as a game, it levels the playing field almost. It takes everything off a pedestal that maybe you once idolized. Yeah. So, some thoughts.
No, I love that.
Yeah,
something you said a long time ago, I don't know if you remember this. I think it was maybe... when there was that 25K pay in full, or something along the lines. Or actually, I think Matt had booked in a layup, and he was happy about booking in a layup. You're like, dude, don't be happy about that. Like, don't celebrate that. When you celebrate it, you push it further away. So, yeah,
you do, man. Yeah, if you want things in your life, you have to like, it's interesting, dude. It's so strange how it works. Like you have to learn to stop wanting it. Like it's kind of in a way sad is what I've realized. Because like if I were my old self looking at my numbers right now, I'd be flipping out every single day. But the problem with that is like, though I wish my old self could experience that and he never will get to, and I will never get to, in the same vein, it's the trade-off worth happening because I have to outgrow like that pedestalization, if that's a word, of what's happening in my life right now. Otherwise, I'm not going to keep it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I always wanted to be married to I always want to be married to a girl who like loves me and like I'm attracted to. She's beautiful. Like she's like everything I want in a wife, business, like everything that I want in my business, profitable, fun, great team, or whatever. Like, but you have to just like accept that it's there now.
Yeah.
It's like there's this idea that if the devil can't slow you down, he'll try to push you too fast.
Wow.
And that's what I'm learning right now in this season.
Yeah. Dude, I've literally felt that. Like, in my recent journey, like even as I was talking about at the beginning, it's like, oh, now that there's momentum, I should try and 5x the momentum in 30 days. Like, bro, why? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like getting that immaturity out of me to feel like it needs to happen tomorrow. It's like, dude, I think how you win in business is the long game. Like, most of the people that are in the industry probably won't be here in 10 years. Like, or worse. Like, it's like, it can't be sustained. So it's like building something that's sustainable and here for the long term. That's success.
Well, what do you think it looks like to have something that is sustainable? What is sustainability in business? I'm curious what you think about that. Maybe that's a question you haven't been asked yet. Maybe asking you, it could help you think that through. Because I want you to last, dude. I want you to be here 20 years from now. You know, maybe this industry or otherwise. I want you to be doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think building something bigger. Let me say it this way: like, not contingent on 20-hour days. For instance, some people have X amount of numbers, but what people don't see is that they work 20 hours a day. So that is not sustainable.
Yep. And then you join their program and you realize they're basically just telling you to work 20 hours a day. And it's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Like, I'm not willing to accumulate that amount of debt, like you were talking about earlier, in order to get that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess what I'm realizing is everything is possible, but what are you willing to trade to get it?
Yes.
And that's basically the game, is like, what are you willing to trade to get it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's a line in the sand.
Or you could do it. You could attain it. Yeah. You could attain it.
There's a scriptural line.
Wait, I want to hear that. Sorry.
There's a scriptural line. You're good, dude. There's a scriptural line in the sand somewhere there, though. Like, scripture says it very clear what you're not allowed to sacrifice. What are you not allowed to sacrifice to achieve things? I'm asking you, what do you think?
Your relationship.
This is super clear to me. Relationships, that's close. Even that's not like in the Bible.
Your faith.
Faith is one way to put it. Yes. There's a literally a scripture verse. What does it benefit a man?
Oh, your soul.
Soul. And the soul is, like, in my eyes, it's like the bridge between our human bodies and our relationship with God. You know, it's the bridge. Right? So it's like, So relationship, faith, two great ways to put them. Soul, right? So, like, what does it mean to lose your soul? Well, it means it doesn't happen all at once. This is the tricky thing.
Your mind, will, and emotions. That's what the soul is made up of. Mind, will, and emotions.
Yeah. So it doesn't happen all at once, right? Your soul doesn't leave you one day. You don't wake up like, oh, I just signed a contract. My soul's now gone. It goes a little bit every day. It starts with, like, I know this guy probably isn't the best fit. I'm just going to whatever. And, you know, or who knows? It can start in the smallest ways. And so that right there is the lack of sustainability about this is there's a carrot on a stick being held in front of you of, like, what your success could look like. And I say this all the time. I honestly think people who don't have a proper faith foundation in their life have an advantage in business, in the game of business, because they have much less to lose. And so in my sort of view of things, it's like I refuse to be envious of anybody who isn't married and devout in their faith. If they're not married, they're off my list of envy. If they're not devout in their faith, they're off my list of envy. And I'm drilling that into my thick freaking skull, because they don't have to play the same cards that I have to play.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's so silly to be like, oh, I can't believe it's because they don't have to battle God like you do in order to have these things.
Yeah.
I do. I have to sit down there and I'm like, God, is it okay that I do this? There's this battle, there's this spiritual battle that happens in a lot of faith-based entrepreneurs, especially in this space, because there's so much of that, like, worldly marketing tactic stuff going on. So yeah, like, that's where people break. And it's just, I kind of just feel like it's prophecy almost. Like, you could just see it coming. Like, The they start to step into a way of being. There's almost like a illusion of grandeur. There's a self-importance. But you know that they're lonely. Like, it's just like you can just see it all coming, and that's where it breaks, dude. Is your soul's been lost, and then the success stops being worth it too. Now you're sitting there. There's a gun on the table. You're wondering why you don't. Yeah. Like, that's just where this goes, dude. And like, it's so. I don't know why. I don't know why it's always been so clear to me, but it just has been that, like, yeah, obviously I'm not going to do these things and trade that for this. Like, yeah, I will go through seasons where I'm envious of those people, and then I realize again, I'm like, well, why? Like, why even care? Because, like, they're not playing the same cards I'm playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love the way you put that.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. What are your thoughts on that, man? What do you think about other people in the industry having an advantage because they're not walking closely with the Lord? Short-term advantage.
Yeah, I think.
Short-term advantage.
I think it's how the scorecard in which we use. So it's like, financially speaking, I think yes. But I also think we have a massive advantage as well. You know what I mean? So it's like, short term, yeah, I mean, like, dude, if I didn't have to feel bad about certain things, I would probably make a lot more money. Like, I definitely would. 100%. So it's like, but I would lose my soul, like you said. And it's like...
Oh, you're saying the scorecard is all the variables you bring into play.
Yeah, the scorecard is like an eternal game, which I am very bad about remembering, to be completely honest. Like a lot of my decisions are based for things here on earth, but I'm like, oh crap, dude. Like, you know, if we believe our faith, like, what we do on earth is like but a vapor. You know what I mean? So it's like, I should really be building my mansion in heaven. Like, I want a mansion in heaven, you know what I'm saying? Like, but
you're gonna live in that thing forever, dude.
Yeah, so it's like, we have a huge advantage in that scorecard, but in the short term of, like, ethics and stuff like that, it's like a disadvantage because we try and do the right thing, which means we probably will make less money.
Totally, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I think my first sense of, like, I always preach detaching, like, in sales and in business, I preach detaching from the outcome and, like, releasing your need, and these things, especially for beginners, is very helpful. And I think I had the advantage of, like, I'm gonna die and go to heaven. Like, none of this matters.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, make a sale, 10 grand in a day, man. Cool, whatever. It's like it's worldly treasures, bro. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like that. I think, and it's funny. You feel that way until you need it. And like, I think why I pulled through on it. This is me being very candid. Why I pulled through. Yourself, Jeremy, Matt, heading out, doing your own thing. Just got married, freshly married, coming back. Honestly, I gave it to God. I pursued him in a way that I hadn't in a very, very long time. And I said, God, if you want me to keep doing this, I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah. And I need to hear it very clearly right now, because I'm looking at my wife who's newly married to me. I'm looking at how freaked out she kind of is, because it's like, it's a bunch of decisions I'm making all at once. I'm figuring out all quickly. And I'm like, if you need to do this, you need to make it really freaking clear, because a 6-figure salary looks really great right now. Yeah. And he's like, no, dude, this is your mission. You know what's your mission. Stop being stupid. And it was just so clear. It was so clear. And I said, all right, God, tell me who to hire. Like, I was like, I've got this list of people. Like, who is it? And they showed up and they're killing it. And like, we're on a 70K week right now. And it's like, things are great. And we're aiming at 500 next year. And it's just because it's like, I drew closer to God, you know? Yeah. Yeah. And I think from the start, I've known that it's like, just kind of, it's just a game, dude. It's like rec league high school basketball. Like, it doesn't even, it's whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I love that. It's like, kind of reminds me of that verse about like pruning. Like, when a tree bears fruit, what the natural mind would think is like, oh, cool, let's like just keep bearing fruit, more fruit, more fruit. It's like, what he does is then he prunes it. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, but get off all the dead branches, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, but the pruning, and even in the verse it says like, it allows it to bear more fruit. But it's like, dude, it's like the pruning that takes you to the next level. It's like, if you can go through that, dude, imagine what you can go through now.
I just had like 3/4 of my branches cut off, man, and like it's crazy. Like they grew back twice as big, and dude, it's best feeling. Man. It's the best feeling. That's so good, dude. There's some wisdom to that. I totally. Where is that verse?
I think
do you remember?
I can Google it.
Yeah, look it up. I love that verse, man. I don't even know if I've heard that before. I'm super curious about that now. Pruning.
Yeah, John 15:2. Jesus says, "Every branch that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that continues to bear fruit, he repeatedly prunes so it will bear more fruit, even richer and finer fruit." Pruning is vitally important for us to grow in our walk with God. That's like commentary. So it's like the correlation of like our relationship with him. Like if someone bears fruit, he will prune them. But it's also, I feel like it's like a business principle too. It correlates so well.
It absolutely is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is why I think I love business so much. Honestly, I don't even know if I honestly don't know if I all the way do it for the money. Or even, I think I do it for the lessons, man. Like, what better a way to learn who God is and how the world really works than to just put yourself right up against the flame and just say, like, teach me. Like, show me everything that's up. Like, I'm ready to go through hell to know more about how this world works. And I think that's why I love entrepreneurship, man. I think it's like the ultimate cliffside looking down experience constantly. It takes so much faith. And I think, people who don't know God, who are Christian, who are entrepreneurs and who are successful at it, I think on some level end up trusting in something because they like it's not themselves. You cannot rely on yourself all the way. You rely on yourself some of the time.
Yeah.
They end up trusting in something though. And sometimes that something is something that doesn't really ultimately serve them. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude, like the lessons are incredible. Like that concept of pruning, that's beautiful. Like it reminds me of like mass, like scale, mass, and debt is like something that like I remember from like Sam Ovens. It's like as you scale and as you add mass, you build a form of debt and having to relieve that mass later. And I'm like, that's so good. It's like it's the concept of pruning. You know what I mean? The tree grows and it grows, and then some branches no longer bear fruit, so you got to cut them because like they're just wasting the energy of the trunk. You know, it's like team members that don't need to be there or offers you probably shouldn't be selling. It doesn't really help anything. It's like that's minimalism. It's in the Bible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's God. That's good, dude. That's super good.
Yeah, no, I saw Lily bring you some food there. I was like kind of jealous. I was thinking of texting Sarah.
She's pregnant, dude. She's pregnant. Like you can't. I don't know, man. If Lily doesn't while she's pregnant, that'll blow my mind. I'm not expecting it by any means.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is to carry a baby, dude. I have no
idea.
I can't
apparently, like the first trimester, like was pretty rough. Like, dude, she was sick a lot. Like I was like, man, this is gonna be a long 9 months. Yeah. Like for real. Like it was pretty rough.
Has she and she's gotten better since then?
Way better. Like,
cool.
Yeah.
Like so she could bring you food. I'm kidding.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's why I was like, bro. Fire off a text, but no.
We a little podcast experiment. See if she
like this is real masculinity, guys. Get married. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm doing a podcast episode with Lily at some point.
Dude, that would be amazing.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
What? What's that? She's looking at me funny. Not funny? She looks like she's looking at me funny. You're smiling? Funny smile. Yeah. I don't know, dude. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for an episode with her. Yeah. Episode with my dad. Episode with her. Episode with a lot of different people, man. I mean,
dude. I was gonna ask you, what's your vision for the podcast?
Just do it and see where it takes it. I mean, it's there's 4 forms of leverage, right? So labor, which is like people doing and conducting work for you. Capital, which is like how you deploy your money into your business. code, which is like automated processes, like, and then media, which is like attention and content, right? And like, I just feel like one of the things that is missing in my sort of portfolio of leverage points is media. Like, YouTube's okay. It's not amazing. It's okay.
Yeah.
If we had like 100,000 monthly listeners to a really solid business podcast, like, we would take over the world, bro. We would take over the market. Honestly, we've superior products, superior everything. Like, we would dominate. And so for me, it's just a long-term play. Like, I'll be doing it for like 3 or 4 years, and it's not going to reap rewards, I don't think, anytime soon. But it'll be an incredible audience builder. So that's kind of the thinking. It's like as amazing as YouTube was for the business, I want this to be 10 times as amazing, and want to do it for like 5 years versus like a year or 2. So yeah, just thinking about like, you know, by the time I'm 30, I want to have had like 500 guests. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So you're the first guest, dude.
Dude, what an honor. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no
was-
rhythm or rhyme to it. Honestly, you just scheduled the soonest. I'm like, all right, let's hit it, dude.
Oh, dude, I know you chose me to be first. I'm just kidding.
You're very, 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 very important to me.
Yeah.
No, you
Dude.
honestly are. You're a great friend.
Yeah, dude, same to you, bro. And like, of the leverage points that you were saying, is like, that's something I've been noticing too within my own strategy is a lot of people like churn and burn, meaning boom, quick, short form video, you scheduled a call, you good fit, are you not a good fit? And then there's nothing long form. So it's like, and I literally tell people this all the time, like in talking, even on coaching calls, I'm like, dude, you should go look at Trey's YouTube.
Like in your own program, you're like, just go watch it.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like, just go look at that.
That's funny,
like
dude.
that is the best marketing vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen one better than YouTube, personally. So it's like,
Dude, it dominates.
I've been thinking, of like, how could here's the thing, I don't want to underestimate the work it took you, because that didn't just happen on its own. Like, dude, there's blood, sweat, tears, and hours of filming and editing that went into that YouTube channel.
And
so
I
it's like,
sucked at first, man. I mean, I was terrible. I was awful.
Dude, so like, I've been thinking of how I could build, not just to get more sales, but to have like a audience of people that I'm like nurturing that are like raving fans that I could influence for the greater good. Because like, that's what I feel like my calling is to help people achieve their God dream. And I don't think it's going to come through reels, right? So it's like, I've been thinking of either building up a YouTube channel or starting a podcast myself. I think that's genius. Just a long form place where you can have conversation.
Yep.
It's,
And then this turns into a million short form, dude. Like, we just made 50 short form, you know what I mean? So it's like,
dude, for real.
the right content team award. So that's the thing about podcasts, man, is it's like 4 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
Like, first, I like it. It's fun. That's the first bird. The second one is like, it makes a bunch of short form content, which is important. And you know how important. I mean, you did your first, you did 50K that first month, like all short form, and then just boosting it a little bit. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
The post short form, boost it, and then prospect and set calls and sell. Is that it? That was that simple.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. The third one is audience builder, obviously. So like long-term audience builder. Like, if you look at guys like, man, Joe Rogan, what did he sell his podcast for? Something crazy. I mean, I can't remember. It's like tens of millions of dollars, right? Like, and then fourth, relationship builder. So I can have people on here that I otherwise would never get the chance to talk to.
Yeah.
And once this podcast gets a little bit of clout, and as it starts to grow, and once it starts to kind of pop off and become something people in the industry are listening to, I'll like invite on like big dogs and just like chat with them for like 2-3 hours. So it's a very high leverage play, and I'm realizing like mixing it with like the amount of talent we have with sales and incredible product and all these other departments is just like, it's just kind of like that final piece that I think will get us to like 500 and like sustain 500 to $1 million a month, like really sustain it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, man. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's incredible.
Yeah, dude, it's freaking nuts. I can't believe I talk about these numbers so casually sometimes, but like,
dude. And like, what's crazy is like, it doesn't seem like that far away.
No,
you know what I mean?
I was talking to my sales team lead last night, and it's like, there's like 2 simple little changes that if we can figure out how to make them, we'd do 100 a week right now. And like, the first one is just like, and like if somebody knows how to solve this problem, like message me. Like I'm working with some people, but you know, like I'm always looking for solutions. Like having multiple setters per multiple social channels. Like we keep getting turned off. That's a frustrating thing.
Yeah.
And then the other one is figuring out our 2-call close system, because we've got a ton of incredible fits, but like I was just like, look, like why are we so focused on a 1-call, dude? Like let's do 2-call. We start doing 2-call. We're closing 50% cold. Like our offer's there. Like just that 1 call, 45 minutes of like, hey, no offer. Just like, here's some value. Check this out. Just build some trust. Because like when you look at our marketing and our sales, the only missing component is trust.
Yeah.
It's the only missing component. Everything is there. The offer's there. The results are there. People say they like my personality. They like how I approach things, whatever. Our offer is there. The guarantees behind the offer are there. The course looks great. Everything's built. It's just trust. Trust is the only missing component. So once we can figure out multiple setters and we master our 2-call close process, and then thirdly, actually, we need another closer. We'll do like 100 a week, man. Because our offer's there, and it's more than good. It's immaculate, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I got married. You guys went on your own way. A lot of things happened, but I just kind of refused to focus on sales again until I wrap this thing up in a bow.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people aren't willing to make that sacrifice of like, I'm going to have like 4 or 5 kind of slow months and really do some great work here. And it's paying off.
Yeah.
We had somebody join Painful. He's a hedge fund manager, managed hundreds of millions of dollars, made tens of millions in his career. In his mid-60s, joined the program. Like, dude, this is incredible. Wow. Like, I've got 3 referrals for you. I'm like, sweet. Wow. So like, it's paying off. But people don't think about that in this industry. They just don't.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah,
that's
so
the plan, dude. And you're gonna crush it, man. You're gonna be at 100 to 200 a month consistent very, very soon. I think you just need to turn off your shiny object a little bit, man.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. It's like you were saying, multiple like channels with like the setters, and it's like that. I think like that's people's biggest thing is they jump from strategy to strategy to strategy to strategy instead of like sticking to what works. But it's like what you're doing is like you made it work, and then you make something else work, and then something else, and it's like stacks on top of each other. So it's like for me, my weakness, and I think a lot of people's weaknesses, is that they jump from thing to thing to thing instead of just focusing on what's working. So, yeah.
I think subliminally too, I wasn't going as hard as I could on certain channels because I wasn't all the way proud of the product. Honestly, it was good enough. It was good enough to get results, but that was as good as it was. And it was also unscalable. Like, our students loved working with you and Jeremy because you guys were just awesome people. But the problem with that is like that doesn't like what you can't have 100 people on a group call. You can't. You need to put everything in a linear product. It's the only way to scale and stay scaled. It's the only way to do it. And it's just tough because most of these businesses out here are running like month to month in their cash flow, so they can't slow down for a sec. You know what I mean? So then they just kind of build another form of debt of like having to play catch up all the time to their bills they got to pay, so they can't slow down and build a better thing. So
no, that's amazing. Like when you first started, because I feel like people don't actually get to ask you this very often, so I think this could really help people that's listening too. When you first started, you were a one-man show, right? Besides you and just your video editor. What
it was still just me. I mean, I learned how to edit videos and everything.
Man, what was that season like? The length, and then what did you do with your cash? Like, what were your numbers? And then, like, where did you put your money? Because I feel like potentially people want to scale too quick instead of there was something that happened in you in the season of being a one-man show that you can't replicate. Does that make sense? It's
absolutely,
like, I feel like, yeah, that season like forged you into like who you are. And I feel like potentially me, or maybe even other people listening, try to jump out of that season too soon because having a team is sexy and scaling is sexy.
It is all very sexy. Well, I love what Alex Ramosi says. He's like, well, I'll say it like this. The thing that I gathered the most from my season of being a one-man show, by far, was the concept of skill stacking. So when you learn one skill, it actually opens the door for more skills. So my first skill was photography. That was the first thing that I got into. I mean, I was a wedding photographer. What happened was I took it from photography to design generally. So I learned to design and video. So I learned how to take videos because photo and video is very, very similar. There's a lot of key differences, but very similar fundamentally. So I did photo video, which then brought me into, like I said, design, which showed me how to use video editing softwares and photo editing softwares. So like, I started selling like logos on like Fiverr and stuff and all this stuff. And I learned how to use Photoshop and Illustrator. And this is like, I'm skipping like 6 to 12 months at a time here as I introduce these new skills. I was 15 when I first picked up a camera. Right. So I mean, it's been a minute, coming up on like a decade. You know what I mean? Like I'm 23 now. So yeah, photography, then video, then it just kind of, what happens is you open up the door for more and more skills, and then video turned into like making content, right? Because like that was a very obvious transition. Making content turned into like how to like have an audience and like communicate with them and everything. And then having an audience turned into like what to sell, right? Which like I landed on courses and e-learning and stuff, which turned into, you know what I mean? It just like turns into. And there's this natural growth that kind of needs to happen in order for somebody to really get and stay scaled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was talking to Lily about this in the gym this morning. I don't give myself enough credit. I have a really nice stack of skills. Like a company has a stack of softwares they use. Like if I have to do anything in my company, I can ultimately. I have a team because my time is more valuable than it not getting done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not because I can't do it, which is like an important thing for people to understand. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. It's skill stacking, man. Yeah. You start with a base skill. Like here's a sales dude, incredible salesperson, incredible, which has opened the door for you to learn how to manage a community of clients, which is going to be a multi-7-figure skill for you. You know what I mean? Which is going to open up the door to all kinds of stuff. It's going to open up the door to, you know, how to hire from that community, who to bring in as a team member, and how to sustain those relationships and communicate with them well. And then you get into like culture and how to have like team culture and stuff. And like, man, I was terrible at that. Dude, you should see the first team I hired compared to when you guys worked here. The difference is absurd. Like we had one meeting a week and nobody had anything to say, and it was super awkward and nobody got along. Nobody talked to each other outside of the meetings. It was terrible. That was my first team. Awful. And people would just stop working and not tell me why. Like, awful, bro. Awful. Yeah. So.
Yeah, bro.
You live and you learn.
Yeah. No, it's like, I see how it's almost like God allowed you to like, it's like strategic stumbling. It's like you stumbled into things. Like strategically, though. I
love your mind, dude. I love your mind. Like that kind of thing you come up with so well. Strategic stumbling. That's exactly what it is, dude. And that's what you're doing right now, man. Like, you're stumbling, but keep stumbling forward. Like, try not to stumble sideways or backwards too much. Stumble forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so good. It's like so many people get anxiety about like if the thing, like I'll talk to people, especially like in the industry of coaching, like they get hung up on their offer. It's like, should I do this or should I not? Like, dude, just do it and see what happens. Yeah. If it's not the right offer, you'll find the right offer by trying something, but sitting there wondering isn't going to get you anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I respect about, I'll say this, like, one thing I am proud of myself is that I'll just try stuff really quick.
Yeah. I love that about you.
Yeah. It's like, dude, if I have an idea, like, I'm down just to try it. Like, what's the worst that could happen is how I think about it. So it's like, I strategically stumble forward.
I think what's the worst that could happen is like, you're like, that like is the subtitle to your life.
Yeah. Like, dude, maybe that could be a podcast that I create. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah.
Lily's laughing. That's really funny.
That's amazing.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's good.
Dude.
Yeah, no, I agree though, man. You have, but what is the worst that could happen? Nothing. Like, the worst that could happen is not that bad, and it never is. And like, I think one of the things that really spurred me into action is there's this photographer named Joey B. Like, people can look him up. He's like this, like, really, this back when I was a photographer still. And I mean, he made like $1 million a year. This guy's like still does, super successful. I love his work, dude. And I don't talk about photography that much, and hopefully this podcast gives me the opportunity to do it. Like, I thought about inviting on my podcast Taylor Jackson, the guy that kind of got me into e-learning for photography. He has a channel and sold a photography course in the description. I bought it and I was like, I could do this, and I did it.
Yeah.
And like, he he has no idea who I am. It'd be amazing to have him on here. But yeah, anyway, Joey B, he's this photographer, and he said something in a podcast interview. He was like, I live in America. Like, what is the worst that could happen? I moved back in with my parents. My parents love me. I love them. They'd take care of my wife and I and my kids even if they had to. Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
It's like not that bad. But people are so afraid of that floor, and for what? You know what I mean? I think that just kind of hit me at like 16. You know what I mean? I was like, nothing's going to happen to me. Like, there's going to be natural, like, your standard is going to be breached. That's what's going to happen to you. So ultimately, you want to maintain that feeling of the standard being breached while you live with your parents, right? Because you don't want to like stay there. But you have to understand that your standard being breached and your physical safety are two very different things, and learn how to like separate those things.
Yeah.
And he said something along those lines, and it really stuck with me. And so from that point forward, I was like, all right, screw it. And then right around that time, the house fire hit at 17. So I was like 15, 16, I heard that guy say that. 17, this house fire hits, and I'm like, I'm going to figure out a form of income. Saw Taylor Jackson, his thing. Sold my own course. Because I was just like, I think it would be an easy thing to do. Like, I don't have to be super involved. Like, I can see how this model really works for him. And boom, it's just like to the races.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely have him on. That'd be a really dope episode.
I think so. Are you going to start a podcast now?
Dude, I actually have a I have a podcast. It's called It's called the God Dream Podcast.
Oh, dude, how did I not know about this? Do you like
I haven't posted an episode in a year?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, like as we were talking earlier, it made me realize that I should probably start a podcast. Like
you should post this one.
Yeah, dude.
It's been a great conversation. I mean, you could film just a separate intro. You could cut out my intro.
Yeah.
And film your own, and then just cut it like
dude,
like 2 minutes in.
Yeah. Welcome to the God Dream Podcast. This is Trey Cockrum's podcast episode that I'm stealing. I hope it encourages you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah, because like I think a podcast is like a great mechanism to indoctrinate people with like your beliefs, or not even indoctrinate, but like share your beliefs.
No, it's a great way.
It's impossible to ever communicate anything.
Bro, impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, this is a great way to spread propaganda.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. We can brainwash people into
so many people are going to be brainwashed
that we have.
They're going to listen to hundreds of episodes. 4 years from now, we have hundreds of episodes. Every single one's going to be entertaining, fun to listen to, educational, hilarious, and they're going to learn something about their business. They're going to grow their business, and they're going to bend to my will, bro. I'm kidding.
Yeah, dude. What is your retirement plan? The podcast. Yeah, it's my retirement plan. It's my Roth IRA of media.
No, you can literally though. No, media is a better form of leverage than a Roth, dude.
Oh, for sure,
by far.
Dude, okay, here's my theory with why I invest in my Roth. It is my if all else fails, I will be okay.
Yeah, but
it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible plan B.
Kind of a terrible thing though, because like I stopped doing whole life, man. I was putting away 100 G's a year. I pulled it all back up. I'm like, this is stupid. Like,
dang,
it's so stupid, dude. I will it be 3 or 4 million when I'm 60? Sure. Could I put 3 or 4 million in the bank next year if I stopped thinking about 60? Yeah, I really could. So like, what is wrong with me? So yeah, I stopped doing that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just like it gets you thinking scarcely. Like it's interesting how it works, man. I really think the oh shoot, we've got our team meeting here in a sec.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, guys, I'm filming first episode of podcast.
Dude, this has been a really good episode.
I think so too. I'd be surprised if anybody's listening this long. If you're listening this long, send me a message. The code word is purple monkey. Send me the word purple monkey and I'll know that you've listened this long. I hope I don't sound too childish on this podcast, man. Something about Brandon, man. I think he pulls out of me this just like, I don't know, bro. I laugh so much with you, man.
Dude, like, I'll never forget when we all met up. Where was it? It was Seattle the first time, right?
Seattle the first time. It was in that cabin.
We got in the car and we laughed uncontrollably. for at
Yeah,
least
dude.
45 minutes, bro.
Oh man, dude. Yeah,
It's like-
no, we were a great team, dude. I loved that team, dude. And that's the thing. You have to learn how to. That's one thing I've learned too, though. Like, not to turn a bright thing dark.
Yeah.
In order for me to scale my business to this next level, I can't have as much of emotional attachment to my team.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I had an incredible relationship with you guys. But I'm like, I gotta find those elsewhere. Because if you find, unfortunately, it removes a certain dynamic that has to exist in a company. Of like, I know this is the way things have to go. I'm gonna call the shot, and you all just kind of have to like understand that like that's how it's gonna be. And it's, you know, and not that you guys weren't that way. I think we managed that relationship very, very well. But if I had like 20 and it was like that, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like then one could speak up and like challenge me. And like I want discourse, right? I want conversations. But ultimately, just like in my home, like I'm the final shot caller. If like the kid becomes the final shot caller, like something's broken.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like something's broken. And so, yeah, man. So like I realized like we've got like 12 people now. Like it scaled up really quick. Because instead of hiring sales reps, I hired a head of sales.
Yeah.
Instead of hiring editors, I hired a executive content director. You know what I mean? Like, it's like whatever. And then like I trust them to build the teams. But what I taught them how to interview and hire, you see.
Yeah.
So like as opposed to interviewing and hiring, I'm like, here's how I interview and hire. Here's what I look for. Here's recordings of my interviews with the guys that I hired last time, which I gave them that, which is cool. And I was just like, here's why I went with them, and here's what my thinking and everything. And like, I taught them to look for character traits and not skills. Yeah. We can train for anything. Like, dude, the reason I hired you guys were just amazing gentlemen. Like, I love you guys. Yeah. And I was like, I can teach them the skills. I know that they could do this stuff really well because I could just tell that you guys were killers. And so I don't hire for skill. I hire for character, train for skill. If they have character and skill, great. If they have skill and no character, sorry. Yeah. And when I say character, I mean, like, could I hang out with you? And also, like, do we share a similar worldview? And lastly, like, are they just not like losers? Like, I don't care how skillful they are. They have to have like a good relationship with their family and like maybe married. Maybe some, like, do they have some things like going for them outside of just this? Yeah. So, otherwise you have a very unbalanced person.
Yeah. And yeah, like it's hard to, I don't know how to word this. Because that was like a super special like chemistry, but I don't think it was the chemistry to take the business where the business needs to go. Yeah, no, you know it wasn't. I mean? We could have done 100 to 200 a month and hung out and had a great time, and had the occasional cigar in a hot tub and whatever, and had a great time. But like, unfortunately, it just started to eat away at like, I'm like, I know this is like not. Yeah, so, and I think you guys knew that too, and I think it just kind of subliminally started to communicate, and it's like I think you guys can start to see like I have some big things in mind, and like I'm not sure this is the way to do it, and you guys have your own things in mind, and it just it was an amazing season though, dude. I'm so grateful for it. Like I will always be grateful for that iteration of the team. 100%. It was amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, I think we covered a lot of great topics here. I think we did too. Yeah. I think it'll bless people who listen. And I think so. Purple Monkey, tag Trey on your Instagram story. And say Purple Monkey. Purple Monkey. Yeah, go ahead and tag. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Screenshot your phone, put it on Instagram stories at Trey Cockrum, Purple Monkey. That way I know that you watched the whole thing. Cool. All right, Brandon. Well, any closing remarks? No, it's been great. Super fun episode, and I think it's gonna help a lot of people. I think so too, dude. I think it's gonna be fun. I think this whole podcast can help a lot of people. I'm excited for the future of it, and no perfect first guest, man. It worked out great. I think this is the perfect first guest. Yeah. Love it, dude. So I would like reach out to a bunch of people that I thought like would be a lot of fun to have on. I was like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? They're like, here's the link. And then just like, I've got like 8 or 9 guests lined up, and I'm just going to run it, dude. It's going to be a ton of fun. Run it. Yeah. All right, bro. Pleasure having you on. Thanks for being here. Of course. All right, dude. See ya.